Okay. Hi, Renee. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Oh, doing great. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Well, I thank you for having me.
Let's see. You're an author, and this is your first book. Is that correct?
It is my debut novel, yes.
Okay. Why did you write it?
I've always been writing or performing in some capacity really throughout most of my life. And I had this story in my head for years. And I was at a point in my life where I just felt like I needed some more creative outlet. And then coupled with the fact that COVID came. And when COVID came, you probably saw this quote. It made the rounds on the internet about how Shakespeare and Newton all did their best works during lockdown. And I decided I was going to be productive and had something to show for this period. So I just very much just focused on getting this book finished and published.
So had the idea for the book been sitting around in your head for
A long
a
time.
long time? Okay. All right. Well, you know what? You're probably not alone because I think that a lot of people, once they realize, oh my God, I have all this time now, what am I going to do with myself? I think I'll get to that book I've been meaning to write. And I think a lot of people did that same thing. Also with musicians that I know that I've interviewed, well, time to get writing songs again. And time. So, I mean, there has been a positive side to all of this.
A good friend of mine said it best. We went out to lunch, being very safe. Her son is a professional musician, and one of the sweetest persons you'll ever meet, but she'll be the first to admit she's not creative or imaginative. And the COVID has been very hard on her because she can't go to the beach for her walks and whatnot. And she just said, I guess if you're not creative, this is hard. She goes, every creative person I know isn't bored. They're using the time. So I think you're right.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, people that work in a sort of non-creative environment, particularly if they couldn't work from home,
Yeah.
I think we're really stuck because they couldn't go take a vacation or something like that. And you know who I felt bad for? I've got a couple of friends who had a lot of little kids. And all of a
Oh,
sudden, the kids are all at home. And what are they going to do with them? You know, for all day. And, you know, because they weren't used to it, because the kids were supposed to go to school in the daytime. They went to work, and then they'd have the kids in the evening. And, that's been really hard for them.
yeah. A friend of mine, because I don't know if you know this, but I used to be a junior high teacher. And so I know junior high kids. I love them dearly, but that's usually the most horrendous age for most parents. And a friend of mine was just telling me his teenage son, who, the eyes are rolling. I'm stuck with my parents all day. This is torture. It's been hard on them.
So let's get back to your book. Your book is called Death by Chaos.
Yes. And may I just do a little,
Oh, yeah. Hold
hold
it
on,
up.
ta-da.
Hold it up a little higher.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to get a better copy because
Okay.
this one I ripped something on it.
Oh,
I
all
can't
right.
believe I did that for my own book.
There we go. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So give us a synopsis of the book. What's it about?
Well, as the title suggests, Death by Chaos, it does involve a death that happens because of chaos. And it happens on a college campus in Southern California in the early 1970s. And this death affects the lives and friendship of four young women for the next couple of decades. One of the women will become a prime or a person of interest in this death, and another one, she knows a lot more than she's going to reveal to everybody, and she carries the burden of those secrets over the next couple of decades. And at some point, because of other things happening in her life, that she kind of realizes, all right, we need to get this resolved. We need to gather up the pieces of this puzzle and create the final picture.
Okay.
So you kind of go on a journey with these four young women, as, they have a charmed life. This death happens, it sort of derails them a little bit, and then getting back on track.
The book is out, I assume?
Yes, it is. It's available on Amazon.
Okay, how long has it been out?
It was September of 2020.
Okay, how's it doing?
It's doing very well. I have an average of 5-star reviews.
Oh, good.
Which is kind of nice.
Yeah. Super.
And other positive comments. Yes. If I can brag a little bit, it's a little bit of a fast pace, never boring. These are some of the comments I've received. People are liking the characters. One woman, she doesn't necessarily like the lead character because the lead character is flawed. But she thought it was fun that this was the kind of person that was the lead character. She said you normally don't see this person as the main character. You can tell my drama background here. I'm saying lead as opposed to main.
You've got some talking points on your bio, and I wanted to hit on a couple of them because they sounded kind of interesting. One is, I'm just going to read them and let you answer, all right? The first one says, what happens when people don't go on to live out what they thought would be their destiny?
Well, unfortunately, I think a lot of people will let that define them and will allow them to, if not go into a depression and be disappointed in life. Unfortunately, well, I think that's unfortunate. I'm a big believer in that at any given time in our lives, there are multiple paths ahead of us. And not all paths are destined to be a long journey. And some paths at some point start off fine, and then you realize, not for me anymore. And so I think it's possible to, make a change in your life that will make your life happy or will at least provide some satisfaction. But it sometimes is a challenge in figuring out, okay, this didn't work out. What am I going to do next? Sometimes that's a challenge. But as I said, unfortunately, there are a lot of people who don't quite recognize that or who won't make the effort.
Well, that's true. And the number one reason I suspect that they don't make the effort is lack of self-confidence.
That's so true. It is.
I mean, I'm certainly guilty of that. It took me
Bingo.
years. It took me years to get my self-confidence up to where I wanted to go back. Yeah. I mean, better late than never, but, I started out at 18 doing essentially what I'm doing now. And then life threw curveballs at me, and I took 20 years off, and I came back to it at 43 years old. The difference between myself at 18 and 43, aside from the age and a few pounds around the belly, was self-confidence, which I didn't really have at 18.
Bingo. Yeah. As they say, youth is wasted on the young.
Oh, that's very true.
Yeah.
That is very true. Okay, let's move to another one. You also had an interesting job as a professional belly dancer. How did that happen?
Well, let's just say I was an amateur that performed in restaurants. Trust me, I've seen some professionals. I'm not at their level. But yes, I did perform in restaurants and street fairs, Renaissance fairs, etc. I've always thought the art form was beautiful, the costumes, the movement, everything. And one year I was, believe it or not, I was a downhill skier for many years, and I enjoyed that. But one year I was on top of Whistler's Mountain, which is beautiful, but I was miserable. I was cold, my knees were hurting, and I just thought, okay, I need to find a new activity in which I won't be freezing. I don't do cold weather very, very well. And so, and I also, at the time, I was so dumb, I thought, and less expensive. Well, that doesn't happen. So that, and I remember standing on the mountain thinking, what are things I've always wanted to do? And again, it was confidence. These were things I decided I really wanted to learn tango and I wanted to learn belly dance. But when I was younger, I just felt that was stupid and silly. But that week when I got home, I signed up for classes for both. And I on and off take tango classes, and I appeared doing a tango in a student showcase once, but I stayed with belly dance. And the interesting thing with me is that, like the characters in my book, if I can go back to them, how they're thrown together because they are randomly assigned as roommates. And they really don't have a lot in common. They don't come from the same background, but they develop a wonderful friendship. When I started taking belly dance classes, I think I met the neatest group of women. I'm still friends with many of them. And we all came from different backgrounds. I'm friends with women from different age groups, of different professions. And if somebody was performing, we'd go see them. There were some of us that would try to perform together just because we cheered each other on. And so it just, I went for the classes and ended up being a performer. At first you're kind of scared, but you go ahead and do it. And then I'll tell you, you just get addicted to those costumes. You don't even want to know how much we spent on the costumes.
So these were the I Dream a Genie looking costumes?
A little more authentic. There's some hair and pants, and you begin to learn the history of it. And most people don't realize, but there are numerous different styles. There's collegiate, there's tribal, there's cabaret. And for most people, you wouldn't know what it is. You just see a pretty woman doing pretty dancing. I now, know the difference of the costumes and the kind of movements and the kind of music. I earned a little bit of a reputation, and it wasn't always popular, but I would dance to rock songs. Now, the purists did not like that. Some restaurants accepted that, some didn't.
Oh, okay, because they want the traditional music.
Yes. Some restaurants were very conservative, but I found it. And there's different props and things. We used to use what are called the wings that were a lot of fun. I danced with veils. I danced with canes. And it's a lot of fun. I would recommend it. It's good exercise. It's something you can keep doing at an older age if you want to continue it. You use a lot of, body parts and everything. But as I said, I think what I got out of it the most was confidence and the friendships.
Did you have a jewel in your navel?
I never did, but some did.
Some did, okay.
Yeah.
Is there any hierarchies in dancing? In other words, if you get to wear a diamond in your navel, you're at the top of the ring, or... No, nothing like that.
No, not that I know of. It's usually the hierarchy in San Diego was what restaurants. There were restaurants that were a good showcase if you were just starting out, and then there were restaurants that no, you had to be at this level. So it was like if you could work your way up to certain restaurants.
We do have to wrap this up. Unfortunately, our time is up. Do you have a website that you want to give out?
Oh, yes, please. www.Renaii West, and it's RenaaiWest.com. And you can please check out my blogs too. And there are photos, not photos, but I had a friend create illustrations of how I envision the characters too. You can check those out.
Are the illustrations in the book?
No.
No. All right.
Just on my website.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing, and best of luck with everything you're doing.
Oh, well, thank you, and thank you for having me.